Hi, I'm Bob Dixon. Welcome to the Leader's Edge Hot Takes edition of the Five Eagles Insight Podcast. For over 3 decades, I served in the military as an engineer and as a strategist, and I learned a few things about leadership. We know that it goes beyond theory. It's about real-world application. So in this series, sponsored by Five Eagles Leadership, we feature industry leaders and share their leadership journeys with you. My mission's simple. It's to help you become the best leader you can be. Now, if that sounds like something you're interested in, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. If you'd like to be considered as a guest in upcoming episodes, please go to 5eaglesleadership.com/interview and apply today. Now, let's get started.
Welcome back to the Leader's Edge podcast. My name is Marisa McClure, and joining me today is Walt Anderson from Washington, D.C. Walt is the co-founder and CEO of Alto. Thanks for being here today, Walt.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
All right, we're going to just dive right into some questions. So to get us started, can you give us about a 90-second overview of your business and how you got into it?
All right. Well, Alto's goal is to close the digital divide. There are around 3 billion people in the world that don't have access to internet. They're part of the digital divide, and most of those people live in areas served by satellites, and satellites didn't solve the problem. Satellites are too expensive to close the digital divide. So we have developed a technology that's similar to satellites, but is significantly lower in cost and a bit higher in quality, that can provide service at a cost-effective level so that those 3 billion people can join the rest of us and the rest of the world and access the internet, access AI resources and other things. And we believe right now this is the only technology out there that can effectively close the digital divide.
I find that just so interesting, and it's such an important service to be able to provide from folks who live in some of those areas that don't have this access. So I'm really intrigued by your work, so I'm looking forward to hearing some more about it as we kind of move through the discussion. So what would you say is the biggest problem that you see in your industry, and how are you trying to solve that for yourself and for your clients?
Right. Well, we're in kind of a unique space. No one else is doing exactly what we're doing. Other people are building high altitude vehicles, but they want to connect directly to the phone, and that will work. But it's not going to be as cost effective and efficient or technically good quality as the approach we're taking, where we're delivering infrastructure from the stratosphere right down to the telecom operators on the ground, to say a mobile tower or to a VSAT operator or directly to an office or home. So our challenge really is, if you're the only person doing something in the world, it's sometimes difficult to get the investors to give you the credibility. Investors, despite of how many times they tell you how creative they are like lemmings. They follow each other, and it's a lot easier to be the fourth company doing something than the first. So our challenge has been to develop our technology in a way where we can make clear how mature and realistic our technology is.
That makes sense that it would be challenging to get those investors kind of bought in when it's something so new and untested out there. So that makes sense. So tell us a little bit about some of your different clients. So who are you seeking to serve with this new technology?
Okay, well, we have a pretty limited list of clients. They're existing telecom operators. So for example, in Indonesia, which will be one of our larger markets, there are already telecom operators that serve people in the cities and suburbs and many other areas of Indonesia, but there are 6,000 populated islands. Some of these islands are too small to justify a fiber connection back to the larger islands. So people on those islands can only be served by satellite. Cost is high, and only a small percentage of people can afford that. The mobile network operators, the people like that are in the U.S., like Verizon, T-Mobile, the operators there, which are different companies, they can't really afford to profitably operate via satellite and connect those islands. So um, they don't. They may connect key areas like a government office or an area where an important minister lives just for political reasons. But the bulk of the people in these remote areas, the digital divide, don't get covered. So mobile operators are going to be one of our largest categories of customers. The other type of operator is fixed wireless, people that provide service to the homes and offices directly. Another category is VSAT operators. If you drive down the road past gas stations and other companies, you'll see little dishes on top of the roof of those buildings, and that is to provide a backup in case the local provider of internet can't provide credit card clearing. Obviously, if a gas station can't clear your credit card, you can't buy gas. So those type of companies in Indonesia also can be served by VSAT operators. Maritime operators as well. In a lot of part of the world, there's water. Any place there's water, we can provide lower cost services. And IoT, Internet of Things. Internet of Things is sort of invisible, but it tracks all sorts of things that keep the world running.
Wow. So a lot of applications out there, and you're starting with one focus area, and then is your intention to kind of grow into other areas?
Well, no, we're infrastructure. So we're
Okay.
providing that telecom infrastructure that any telecom operator can use in whatever way they want. IoT operator uses it for IoT, the VSAT operator uses it for their service. So we're simply providing low-cost infrastructure to existing telecom operators, and that means the area we serve, which is a 150-mile circle with each of our vehicles, in that circle we implement every kind of telecom that's needed in that circle. And what we found is that about 85% of the people in the satellite-only areas live in 15% of the territory. So we don't have to cover all the satellite areas to get a majority of the people into our networks.
Wow, so interesting. So I would guess when you're creating something new, there are a lot of challenges and setbacks. You mentioned the challenges with getting investors. How do you, as the leader, keep your team motivated and focused when you're dealing with some of those challenges and setbacks?
Well, luckily, we have a fairly small team, and they're pretty motivated themselves. Some of the people have been with me in other projects, and they're excited to do something really new and different. And this is new and different, and to solve some big challenges in the world. So we're always remembering that if we succeed, we started the company in 2013, so we've been working on this for a while. But we always remember that if we succeed, that a huge number of people, think about it this way, imagine you took your cell phone and locked it away for 3 days. I think I'd go crazy before the end of those 3 days, okay? Now imagine everybody in the world, they've seen television and pictures, they know what this is. They want one. And imagine the productivity, the benefits, just keeping in touch with their family, dealing with emergencies, coordinating business activities, accessing the new AI resources. All those things aren't available to 3 billion people. Imagine, hopefully, how more prosperous and positive the world will be with those 3 billion people connected with the rest of us. So that keeps us motivated. We keep thinking about that.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. The thought of going without my phone even for one day.
It's a scary thought. I left my phone in the car last week, and I had to run back and get it so I wouldn't,
I've been there. Sometimes I just go to a different location in the house, and I'm like, oh no, I left my phone somewhere in a
Yes,
different
exactly.
room. So that makes a lot of sense, and I feel like one of the things that kind of came to mind for me was when COVID happened and we started doing homeschooling across the board, and I was in an area with a lot of underserved children in the school, and they just didn't have internet access, and that made it really challenging for them to keep up with their peers who did have those things. And so the school district did the best they could to accommodate those kids, but that's just a very small slice of kind of an example of what you're talking about with that
Education is very important. Not only, even if they can go to school, just the ability to communicate, access the internet for research.
Mm-hmm.
Another area that's very important is medical still. In remote areas where small clinics don't have a set of doctors in every expertise. Like you go to a large hospital in an urban area in America, there's a heart doctor or this doctor or that doctor. But what happens when a small clinic, the doctor there has to call or wants to call a doctor in another area that has the expertise that could save someone's life? And it will save lives if we can connect every hospital in the areas we serve. So.
Yeah, medical education, like so many amazing outcomes that you can get to with this type of technology. So really, really impressive and really important work that you're doing. So yeah, it's great. So where do you see your industry growing in the next 5 to 10 years? You mentioned that you're kind of the only company that's really working on this. Do you see other potential competition out there along the way, or what is this looking like in 5 to 10 years?
I would suspect that once we begin operation, we're planning to start in Malaysia, but we have other Caribbean, India, Africa, South America, even the United States. For example, Arizona. If you go outside of Tucson and Phoenix a few miles, you get into unserved territory, but still lots of people living there. So we suspect that people will see, if we succeed, that other competitors will follow us into the market. And, well, that's good for the world. For us, we just hope we can keep ahead of those competitors and build a nice market share and a good business.
So what would you say failure or challenge that you've experienced along the way, and how has that shaped how you do business?
Well, early on, we worked with a vendor who made a lot of promises to us to develop this technology, and it is a new technology. And the vendor claimed a lot of expertise that vendor really didn't have to do things. So it took us too long to realize that person couldn't get us where we needed to go in terms of development, some of the technical development. And so that wasted money and time. And so we've now learned to be more careful in really selecting our outside vendors. We're a small management team, and we're relying mostly on vendors to develop the different technologies. So we've been a lot more careful. We're based in the UK. We're lucky to find a lot of really good and talented companies there that can help us. But we're really careful now selecting them.
Yeah, I could see where that's really important to have the right folks, working with you to make this a reality. So what about, I kind of looked at your website and I checked out some of your background. You've accomplished so much in this space, in the telecommunications space. What is left for you to do? Once you succeed with this project, is there something else on the horizon that you're thinking about, or another direction you want to go?
Well, I've always been interested. My business has been telecom, but I've been very interested in the development of outer space for the benefit of mankind. One of my biggest failures was a company called MirCor, where we tried to privatize the Mir space station. The U.S. government interfered with our business because they didn't want us competing with the International Space Station. It was a nasty situation, and they didn't play fair. And we lost the opportunity to operate that station on a commercial basis in space. So if this succeeds, 2 or 3 of my associates in the company, in the management team, are also space enthusiasts, and we'd like to go back and really put resources into space for the benefit of mankind, to do things there that can help the Earth and explore the universe.
Yeah, that sounds fascinating. Great. Yeah, and I think I saw that you started an international space university. Is that something that's still up and running?
Yes, I was one of the 14 co-founders of International Space University. It's based in Strasbourg, France. It runs a year-round master's program in space science, and also has summer sessions that go to various places around the world. So ISU has been successful in doing what it was supposed to do for more than 30 years. And one of the few things I've ever done that has been successful for more than 30 years. So it's pretty exciting that it's still operational and doing what it's supposed to do. And it's me and 14 other people co-founded it, but hundreds and hundreds of other people and students have gone through to make it successful. From many, it's a diverse program, international. We get students from all over the world, and we study multidisciplinary space science.
Fascinating. Yeah, that sounds really great. I think we've kind of talked about your next area of growth. You mentioned that, you're going to start to sort of operationalize pretty soon. So can you talk a little bit about kind of where you are now in the process and what the next couple years look like?
Okay. Well, we've completed the core R&D to design a 100-meter, 331-foot-long airship, a helium-filled airship that will hold a telecom payload in the stratosphere for many, many months at a time. The vehicle, after 3 months, will have another vehicle come up and take over the radio and go down for servicing it. Helium is a tiny molecule. It leaks out of the vehicle, and we can't solve that, so we just top it up every 3 months. We're ready to set up a factory to build those vehicles, and in the UK. So we actually hired a London-based investment banker to raise funds for us, and we are in the process of raising funds as a private company to build that factory and build the first 3 vehicles for operation in Malaysia. After the first 3 vehicles, we will continue production as well, but the core is getting those first 3 vehicles operational. And there will be, going from on paper to actual production is going to be a bit of a challenge for us, but we have the right people with us, and we think we can do that.
Well, I really wish you a lot of luck with that. I hope everything continues to move forward for you. A little bit of an off the topic question, but just something that we like to ask because it's a fun question. But if you could have lunch with anyone, dead or alive, who would that be and why?
Martin Luther King.
Oh, timely.
Yes, it is.
Okay, any particular interest or conversation topics you would like to bring up?
Well, I've always been an advocate of human rights. I've been, it's affected my whole life. It's important to me. And he was a visionary, true visionary.
Yeah, and I think some of the work that you're doing, trying to serve some of these, underserved communities, it really goes right along with that. So that's amazing. Okay, so what is the best way for people to contact you to either learn more about what you're doing or to potentially be in some type of referral partnership?
Well, yeah, we'd love to work with, we're looking for investors, partners, people that might want to help us with our work, potential employees. The company's Ave Alto, A-V is in Victor, E-A-L-T-O. Ave means bird in Spanish, Alto means high. The website has an info, a contact option, and so by using that, you could reach me, or through LinkedIn.
Great, yeah, and I can vouch for the website. It's very interesting. It has a lot of good background information on the work you've been doing and kind of where you're headed. So highly recommend folks to check that out.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's nice to be able to tell people about what we're doing from time to time.
Yeah, thanks so much for being with us here today, and best of luck to you as you continue this important work.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the Leader's Edge Hot Take Series. I hope you found today's insight meaningful, valuable, and that you're ready to put them into action. Now, if you enjoyed the episode and want to keep improving your leaderships, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes. I post new content every week, packed with strategies, tips, and real-life examples to help you lead with impact. And remember, great leadership isn't just about guiding others, it's about continuously growing yourself. If you'd like to be considered as a guest for upcoming episodes, please go to 5eaglesleadership.com/interview to apply today. Keep pushing, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next episode. Be awesome.